Hi everyone, it's Amanda. It's the 19th, it's September. It's been the Queen's funeral today. These are just some thoughts. What an emotional day. For those of you that are not interested in the Queen or what I have to say, just sign off. Seems to be an upsurge of brutality and nastiness in some. And I think for those of us that have actually honoured what's happened today and it meant something to us, I'm talking to you. I thought it was very beautiful the whole day. Both ceremonies I thought were very beautiful. The first service at Westminster Abbey with all of the dignitaries and the world leaders, one thing that went through my mind was, that I've been talking about the London being linked into the Earth Star chakra and the anchor. And with the exception of literally a couple of world leaders, pretty much most were there. Almost as though the world was represented, with a few exceptions, but a huge portion of the world was represented by leaders and dignitaries, representatives of those countries. And that just felt as though it meant something. I can't think of many other occasions where you get such a big turnout, an international turnout on a planetary chakra point such as that. So time will tell whether that forged any new alliances or relationships, etc. Let's hope so. But that was what I was thinking. And then I've enjoyed watching it, the beauty of it, the bagpipes. My God, what a musical instrument! It just goes into your heart. No, it goes into your soul. It goes into my soul anyway. My Celtic energy is just, wow, so deep, so profound, so beautiful. And I posted some photographs earlier of the earlier part of the day, the first part of the day in Westminster. And then I realised there was going to be another service at Windsor. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll watch that as well. But that's the one that really got me. It was more intimate, and the sight of seeing the official, all of the officialdom and all of the pageantry in London set against all of the iconic buildings that many of us know and love was beautiful. But then the contrast of the hearse in the car going effectively down a country lane, a beautiful English country lane, England at its most beautiful, with all of that beautiful red uniform and pomp, but in a country setting, I thought was stunning. And then as they processed up to Windsor, up that mile, it was just the most extraordinary sight. The horses, my goodness, the guys that were on those horseback, I really felt for them because the horses were getting a little bit frisky and, they were going at a very slow pace, and there was so much noise and they did so well, those horses. And then some of you might have seen that there was a single solitary horse standing on the left-hand side as they were processing up. And it turned out it was the Queen's favourite horse, Emma. I think they said it was called Emma. So Emma was standing there to say her goodbyes to her mistress. And that got me a little bit. And then they had the corgis. Her dogs were waiting for her at the castle as well. But the bit that really got my tears just flowing, really flowing for the first time in a big way, I just couldn't hold them back, like deep sobs, was the bit in the service where towards the end, and many of you will have felt this probably as well, where they removed the crown, the scepter and the orb that were on top of the coffin, and that those of us that have been watching the lying in of state for the past week, or 4 days, you know, it's been so centre stage, those, particularly the orb and the crown. And so the fact they were taken off and they were put onto the altar for the next king, it was like a moment of dethroning. And it was then that it struck me that she's really gone. And then they lowered the coffin into the ground, into the vault. And you could just see it sinking down. And the chapel at Windsor is the most beautiful place. I've been there many times. It's beautiful. So I could completely imagine exactly where it was, and I don't know how that family held themselves together. I just lost it at that moment. It's just the poignancy of it, the symbolism of it, the fact that we all return to the same place, whoever we are, whether we're rich, whether we're poor, whether we're young, whether we're old when we die. We all return to the same place, the same Father. But yeah, there's a thing about continuity with monarchy, the passing on to the next generation that is just very profound and deep. And it just feels, there's not many days where you can actually feel as though you're watching history. And you know that maybe in a couple of decades' time, you will still be able to remember where you were when you watched that. And there were memories of Princess Diana's funeral as well, the Queen's hearse as it was being driven through the streets. The same thing was happening that happened to Diana. People were throwing roses onto it. And the hearse was covered in flowers by the time she arrived. And I also saw Earl Spencer, Princess Diana's brother, in the audience of the service at Windsor just now. Yeah, it was just a very beautiful day. I genuinely feel changed by the last couple of weeks, the last 10 days. It's done something to me. And maybe it's done something to you as well. It's definitely opened my heart more. Just feels as though there's something very important that is being birthed. The baton being passed. Time will tell what that means. I think I just am feeling also the contrast between the beauty and the love and the sense of community and the vitriol in other quarters. Not quite sure how we bridge that, but we're going to have to try at some point. But yeah, just the end of an era and the passage of time, more than anything, the passage of time. I think that's where my tears came from, and where the tears are still here. It's this thing about the passage of time, the end of an era, uncertainty of what is to come for our world, for the collective. I'm so glad that I'm feeling the feelings that I felt over the last 10 days, the journey that I've been on. It feels as though it's deepened me. The stuff that I was maybe interested in before this happened that I look at now and this doesn't interest me as much. It's brought up a lot of feelings, but it's all good. It's very raw. But yeah, I am going to keep the comments off, I'm afraid. I just can't cope with it tonight. I know the vast majority of you are with me with these videos that I've been putting out. And I would love to be able to hear your stuff. But there's just some very vicious people out there as well at the moment, and I'm not giving them space. Allow your hearts to open. Allow your hearts to feel whatever you're feeling in this moment. And here's to the cycle of life. Much love. Bye. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. I do hope that you're well. Today is the 20th of September 2022. So we have all of the two energies lining up. This is not the video that I thought I was going to be releasing today, or indeed making. How many times have you heard me say that? But I have to be witness to the sacred flow when it is flowing, and some of the material that I've been putting out over the last week or so has been very time sensitive, and I need to do this in real time as I'm actually feeling it and experiencing what I feel is an initiation into seventh dimensional frequency energies. We may very well have been catching them on the wind for a while, but some of us feel as though the last week or so has been a real initiation into a higher frequency. And one of the key drivers of seventh dimensional frequency is that of non-judgment. Now, it doesn't mean that we're perfect. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have moments where we go into judgment. But a bit like when you step into any new dimension, for example, fifth, you get a grip on that rung of the ladder and you start to get used to it more. And so the template of a dimensional frequency starts to integrate within you, and you become more and more like that until it becomes more second nature. So it doesn't mean that, you know, as I say, we're perfect. It means that we're all still a work in progress. But it does mean that, and what I'm doing here is I'm doing a video for those of you that are resonating with where I'm at. And if you found this video, it probably is the case. I need to take a couple of steps back just to explain maybe how we got here. And I don't know whether I've been able to tag on to the start of this video as I'm now talking to you, the very short one that I put up on Facebook and Instagram last night, which was on the evening of the Queen's funeral. And it was a very raw and vulnerable moment which I shared in terms of my feelings, and I used those words, raw and vulnerable, and I also talked about my tears that I'd had towards the end of the second service at Windsor Castle, where they had taken the crown, the sceptre and the orb off the coffin then goes into the ground, but also the energy of the animals that were very present at Windsor, the horses, her dogs that were waiting for her at the castle, but also Emma, who was her favourite horse, was standing to attention, set aside from all the other horses. And when the procession went past, Emma sort of stamped her foot. So it was very much the energy of the elementals, the animals, and then the symbols of power that, of course, we can't take with us when we die, whoever we are, and that we all go back to the same place. So you may or may not have seen that video. It may or may not be on the start of this, but what I'm now saying today is following on from that moment last night. And there's Bella, because the most unexpected thing was that I woke up today very much with the energy of unicorn energy here. Now, those of you that have followed me for quite a long time know that it's not that I haven't been into the unicorn energy, it just hasn't really been my thing. And I remember saying this before I really got into the dragon energy. It was like, no, that's a step too far. I'm not really into dragons. And then they sort of came in with a vengeance. It tends to be what happens with spirit when we let down our defenses and we just open to whatever the next step is. And we don't even know what the next step is. So the unicorn energy very strongly landing this morning in my house, which is what I want to be talking about and pulling some cards on, and the seventh dimensional frequency, because they come in on the seventh dimensional frequency, is very beautiful. But I then, it's all in retrospect, you realise things. Or it's the way I tend to work anyway. I suddenly thought, wow, unicorns. Yes, seventh dimensional frequency. That's exactly what I couldn't put words to last night. How I was feeling last night, the opening of my heart, which has been a process over the last 10 days, triggered, yes, by the Queen's death, but again, I also know many of you that weren't particularly into the Queen. You don't have to be into the Queen. You don't have to be into the monarchy. You just saw that there was a window, there was a portal that was open for us to be able to release our pain, our grief, loss, which could be about anything. Went into this beautiful pool I'm now seeing, a beautiful pool with lilies. And it's like the collective pain went into that. And when we release anything that causes us pain, for want of a better word, we feel lighter having done so. So having released some of the past stuff, the portal of the Queen's death being a moment where we were allowed to do that. You might not have been grieving for the Queen, you might have been grieving for your own mother, you might have been grieving for your child, you might have been grieving for anything that you've lost in this life. You might also have been grieving certain parts of your own life that have now gone, moving on to the next chapter, the next life stage. You might have also been tapping into your own mortality, coming to terms with your own eventual death, because we all eventually die and return to ashes. It's what was so symbolic yesterday about the coffin being lowered into the stone. It's where we all go, we all return to the earth. So this last 10 or 11 days has been this huge portal that some took and walked through. You might not have even realised you were doing it. Many of us were consciously doing it. Some were unconsciously doing it. Some were stubbornly resisting putting anything into that collective pool of healing. And the reason for that, and there's no judgment in what I'm bringing through now, it's actually something to learn from, because there will be other portals that arrive, on our earth. This isn't going to be the only one. It's just this was a big one. But what can sometimes stop us from walking through a portal or walking through a moment of awakening to a higher level of consciousness is because we have an egoic thought form in our mind, which all of us have to a degree, whereby we think that awakening or the next step on the ladder has to look a certain way. It has to come in via a particular energy. It has to come in maybe via a particular person or a particular situation. If you look at what's out on the internet, there are many things where people group around a particular trend, and it's like awakening is going to happen like this. It's going to be a big, rainbow event or something in the sky, or it's going to be disclosure, or it's going to be some political happening. It can be so many different variations, but we have a fixed idea of what the awakening moment is going to look like. And what I'm being shown here by Spirit is that it's not that they're trying to trick us or trick you. It's just that to be open to awakening is to be open to the fact that it can come in via a different guise to what you are expecting. In many ways, I would say that actually that probably maybe has always been the case. If you think about awakening moments in your own life that you've had up to this point in time, they often don't come in the way that you expect them to. It can be it can be, for example, a partner walking out on you. It can be in the loss of somebody that you love. It can be in the loss of a business. It can be through circumstances and people where you think gosh, I would never, in retrospect, I would never have thought that that thing, that situation, that person was actually the portal that opened me up to new truths, to a new way of being, who activated something dormant within me, who opened chambers within my heart that I never knew were there. And I think if we're truthful, most of us can look back at some of the more difficult times in our life and see that actually they were the greatest teachers. They were the greatest opportunities for us to really climb up that ladder. So the Queen's death, in many ways, this portal, yes, it was about her, but it also really wasn't about her. It was about a collective moment where we could come together and release. And those of us that did that, I feel as though we've been granted a lighter load, so we're able to access a higher dimension. And I feel that's the 7th dimension. Now, this morning, again, it was like, duh, why didn't I think of this, a week ago? But it really wasn't in my head. Spirit just dropped in, well, of course, you realise this was Operation Unicorn. The Queen dying in Scotland, everything that you've seen over the last 10 or 11 days has been Operation Unicorn, i.e. how was the country going to respond, what was going to be planned, down to the minutest detail, everything that's happened was planned in terms of how they were going to respond to the monarch's death. And if she died in London, it would have been Operation London Bridge, but she died in Balmoral in Scotland, so it was named Operation Unicorn. I said to you, didn't I think the first video that I did on the Queen's passing, I said there's something about the fact that that name Unicorn is now out there in the collective. It's been mentioned on news programs, it's been mentioned maybe by you, by me. Once a word is out there, an energy is out there, it gathers pace. And I'm now seeing in my mind's eye this, it's like a stampede of unicorn energy. But they also come in and are very closely tied to the energy of the white horse as well. Over the last week or so, I've taken myself off into the forest. We have a beautiful forest near where I live, where they often have wild ponies and horses that just roam freely. And I was really struck about a week ago when I went out there that the only horses that I was really noticing that were really capturing my eye, and there seemed to be more than ever of them, were the white horses. And it's this energy of purity. And if we just look at this card, I'm going to pull some cards in a moment, but this card, we've got the energy of the white horse, well, the unicorn actually is a unicorn. And it says, it says, you are pure, open spiritual eyes. And this is from the Lemurian Star Child Oracle, by the way. And the key words that go with this card are purity, authenticity, integrity, grounded and magical, and guidance. And it's very much linked into the unicorn stepping forward, and this is an etheric unicorn, to help lead you forward. And it has this, the unicorn has a light beam, which helps to guide it forward. So it's for those of us that have maybe been struggling with navigating our path, knowing that new avenues are opening up to us, but not quite sure how to proceed or what step to next take. And it's as though the unicorn wants to guide you. So I might read a little bit more from that book in a moment, but I just want to say a little bit more about the energies at play today. So the white ray, the crystalline ray, the energy of the unicorn, the energy of the 7th dimension. What it feels like is happening to me and to those of you that are resonating is it's as though there are chambers within our heart that have been dusty, is the way it's being described. It's like I'm being shown a beautiful, at the end of the day, a palace or a home. a building, but I'm being shown a palace because unicorns seem to link into the energy of grandeur, because they also remind you that you are a grand soul, that you are magnificent in your own right. So I'm being shown this beautiful palace, and it's as though the palace is linked into the energy of the heart, but there are rooms within the heart, there are chambers within the heart, and it's as though the doors are being opened for the first time in a long time. And it's as though all this furniture has got dusty cloths over it, like you actually see in old stately homes when they've maybe been, I don't know, closed for the winter or for whatever reason. And it's like all these dusty old sheets are being taken off, and I'm being shown a beautiful grand piano. And it's as though the notes that we can play on the piano are of a certain frequency. It's as though we're invited to the grand piano to be able to send our notes and our frequencies and our tone out into a universe that is ready to receive them. But the piano and the tones and the frequencies lie within these chambers within your heart that, for whatever reason, have just been waiting for you to remember that they are still there, that actually they are now ready to be in use again. So chambers of the heart opening, seventh dimensional frequencies coming down. And it's very important that you realise that some people are not going to get this, they're not going to resonate with it. And the reason for that is I'm being told that even though, you know, I have actually recorded the Tesla video. It's just I keep waiting for the right time to bring him through and actually just press post. Some of you might want to hear him right now, but I feel as I need to do this video first. But Tesla's all about, you know, time isn't linear, and I understand that. I do understand that. But yet, from a human perspective, where we're all still trying to grapple with, well, what is 3D? What is 4D? What is 5D? What is 7D? I'm still being shown a ladder, because it's the way that our human mind can comprehend something that is so much greater than what we can possibly know. And what I'm being shown is you can't really skip different rungs on the ladder. One way or another, you have to step through them. So you can't go from 3D to 7D without going through 4th and 5th as well. And 6th, going through all of the different dimensions. Now, again, the human mind will get bogged down in, okay, so what's the difference? Tell me what the difference is between 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D. It's like we want to put words, we want to put labels so that our egoic mind understands something that the soul already knows. Let me repeat that. Something that the soul already knows, something that your heart already knows. This is all a re-remembering. I think most of us understand what is 3D, what is a third dimensional reality, where we're still very much in blame, we're still very much in separation, we're still very much linked into the material world, labels, the energy of right and wrong. It's very, very dualistic energy, the 3D energy. It's very much about us and them. And then we start to climb the ladder, the dimensional ladder. And 4D is very much linked into when you start to live more from your heart. You start to bring love into the equation of it all. You also start to awaken beyond the, for want of a better word, the 3D matrix. It's where a lot of people get stuck though. And I think it's where a lot of people are stuck at the moment, because it's as though, okay, I've awakened with regard to certain truths that are in the world. Certain things that I thought were a certain way, I'm now seeing aren't. Things that maybe, I don't know, lies and manipulation, it's like I can see that now. But yet we bring the 3D judgment and blame into it, which is why we can't then move into a 5th dimensional frequency, where we start to understand the energy of love and compassion and forgiveness, and we start to really walk that path. So it feels as though many are stuck in 4D at the moment. It's like, as I say, moving out of the 3D matrix. I've awoken, I didn't realise things were this way. And there's a great desire to tell everybody, you know, that this is the way, it's not the way you think things are, and all of that. But people get bogged down there. They get really bogged down. And it's the mind that bogs them down more than anything. Whereas the portal and the doorway to go to fifth dimension is very much about following through on the energy of the heart. Now, I wrote a long time ago something about fifth dimensional frequency. I'm just going to pause the camera and see if I can find it. It was like a little code. Let me do that and then I'll put the camera back on. Hold on. Quite interesting, because I've just found something that isn't what it's different. I've obviously written 2 pieces on fifth dimension and what it is. I'd forgotten I'd even written this. This is a fifth dimensional archangel code of conduct. I'm going to read this to you because we need to understand what this is before we can move on to talk about 7D. So I'm just going to read this. Committing to working with your higher angelic self with the archangels as your teachers requires a willingness to aspire to the following qualities and way of being: leaving behind lifetimes of acting in a different way or thinking in 3D, but living purely from the universal heart consciousness that teaches this: valor in the face of struggle, dignity when challenged, accused, or belittled, compassion when misunderstood, loyalty without self-sacrifice, striving for justice rather than revenge, holding a state of grace even in lower vibrational energy fields, forgiving those that hurt you, wisdom over just intellect, discernment and seeking truth in all, temperance, not overindulgence or excess, courage over fear, discipline over laziness, commitment to the path, tolerance, not self-centeredness, faith in self and God, integrity in all your dealings, humbleness rather than arrogance, purity of body, mind and spirit, hope over despair, and love, only love in answer to anything else. If you are feeling as though you are being and have been initiated more into the 7th dimensional frequencies, what I've just read out, which yes, I'll read again in a moment, you've mastered a lot of that most of the time. Not all of the time, because you're a human being and you're flawed and you can still get triggered, etc., but most of the time. So there's another even higher level going to be coming in. I want to reread this. So this is 5D. This is what we are doing pretty well at mastering. So we're moving on to the next level. And if you feel you're not doing very well on any of these, okay, have a think about which ones are particularly calling you to look at within yourself. Valor in the face of struggle, dignity when challenged, accused or belittled, compassion when misunderstood, loyalty without self-sacrifice, striving for justice rather than revenge. That's a big one. That's where a lot of people are stuck in 4D. They're not at this level. It's like they want revenge. This is what we see a lot in terms of the dualistic separation, even in the spiritual community. Holding a state of grace, even in lower vibrational energy fields. Forgiving those that hurt you. Wisdom over just intellect. There's a difference between knowing something and having incorporated it into wisdom. Discernment and seeking truth in all. Temperance, not overindulgence or excess. Courage over fear. discipline over laziness, commitment to the path, tolerance, not self-centeredness, faith in self and God, integrity in all your dealings, humbleness rather than arrogance, purity of body, mind and spirit, hope over despair, and love. It's quite a daunting list, isn't it? And I'm sure, as I'm reading through that, there was bits of it absolutely where we can look at and think, okay, well, yeah, I've still got work to do there. But all it means is that you're mastering it. You're mastering it. You've at least looked at all of that to a degree. You might very well know where your weaknesses still are, where your flaws are, but you're working on it. What's happened over the last 10 days with Operation Unicorn at an energetic level is there's an even higher vibrational template that wishes to come in. And you might say, well, what the hell can be higher than all that lot? Okay? It's the energy of unconditional love and non-judgment. Oh, it's just that, is it? No, it is that. It's the energy of unconditional love and non-judgment. Very, very hard for a human being to master all of the time, which is why the unicorns light the way. And what I just read to you was something that was given to me by the archangels. It's actually part of a course that I will be releasing at some point. Some of you already did it when I used to do face-to-face workshops. Maybe I will again, but not quite yet. So I'm not going to just release that today as a piece of writing. It's incorporated into a wider body of work. But I do feel as though the unicorns are going to come in with other messages. So let's pull some cards now. And see what's arising. Let's see what's arising. Before we do the cards, just a mention of crystals and sprays that I think are particularly helpful at this time. In terms of the sprays that I sell, that we make, the Archangel Metatron Upgrade and Expansion Spray feels completely perfect. Look at the beautiful colour of that in the sunlight. That really is the rainbows. And of course, we noticed so many rainbows in the sky. The day that the Queen died, the evening before her funeral, it was just lit up with beautiful rainbows. And the rainbow is God's promise as well of, never abandoning us, always being with us. So the upgrade and expansion spray is the rainbow light, which is the unicorn light. Of all the sprays that we've made, I would say the rainbow ray and the white ray are probably the two that are closest to the unicorn energy, but particularly this one. But equally, those of you that are feeling just this download of seventh dimensional frequency at the moment, and it may very well be surprising you. It surprised me this morning when it came in so strongly. This is going to help to integrate it within your body. So it's not just floating around in the ethers. I know many people are stuck, maybe feeling a little bit lightheaded, a little bit wobbly, a little bit all over the place. You might have headaches, you might have various things that are going on. Doesn't mean that everybody that's got a headache, it's related to this. Please obviously seek medical attention if you have a physical ailment. But it is true that when we upgrade spiritually, sometimes the physical body can struggle to catch up. So this just helps to integrate it. So let's spray this before we do anything. And then I'm also going to put it with the earth elemental for quite obvious reasons, which is that when we upgrade and integrate into our physical body, we also have to ground it. We have to be the container for which it can stay and not leak. Okay, so first off, let's do the upgrade and expansion, the rainbow energy. I think I said this yesterday in the moment the video when I got a bit vulnerable. I keep hearing peace, perfect peace. Peace as the phone goes. And, but that's perfect, because this is the thing with the seventh dimensional frequency. It doesn't matter that the phone's going. It doesn't matter that we live in a world which is full of noise. It's full of chaos. It's full of fighting. It's full of trauma. It's full of pain. but it's about finding the peace, perfect peace within those moments, within all of the moments, within life itself, however long the phone goes on for. It's like it's not being triggered by the phone. It's not judging the phone. So that's what I'm feeling with the rainbow ray. Peace, perfect peace. Let's pull a card that goes with that. Isn't it funny that that phone is just carrying on going? There is somebody else in the house. They can answer it. Am I worried that it's somebody, you know, in terrible need? No. It's probably just a sales call. Can you go into peace with the sales call? Can you not be triggered by that? All of that type of stuff. Right, the rainbow ray. Fire and water, stillness amidst turmoil. You see, that's what I was trying to explain by the phone carrying on. It wasn't exactly turmoil, but it's about maintaining stillness, maintaining presence, maintaining peace, perfect peace, even when everything's going off all around us. Here we've got the volcano that's erupting. That could be the volcano of other people's emotions, other people's fire, other people's temper, other people's anger. The energy of Jesus, peace, perfect peace. Can you be, as I channeled 2 years ago or whenever it was, Jesus sitting in the riots, in the middle of the riots, just dressed in white, holy, sacred. And then people notice, what's that person doing there? Not participating in all of the anger, the vitriol, the judgment, the blame, the war, more fighting, more division, more name calling. What's that person doing not joining in? It's because he's holding the energy of peace, perfect peace. And when you notice that and observe that, others can join with you. So there's very much a Hawaiian energy here as well. I think one of you that follows me in Hawaii was saying that there have been some beautiful rainbows over Hawaii, particularly in the last few days, when I was posting about the rainbows over London. And, you know, that's quite appropriate, isn't it, with the whole Lemurian energy of those sacred isles as well. But this also talks about emotional integration, stillness amidst turmoil, feel what needs to be felt, integrate your emotions. I said today on my social media that it's okay to build up your boundaries very high right now. If you are experiencing what I'm experiencing, which is just this, I described it a bit like it feels like a kundalini awakening of the heart. It's centered in the chambers of the heart. It's like the beautiful kundalini snake, but it's going around all of the chambers of the heart, tapping on the door of non-judgment. Are you ready to open that? Tapping on the chamber of unconditional love. Are you ready to open that? And then throwing the doors wide open, ripping off the covers and just walking into the new. The sunset, the sunrise this morning was the most perfect artistic palette of God's light. Peach, gold, yellow, pink, orange. It was absolutely stunning. We're opening up to our multidimensionality in its truest form. And it's coming on the back of the Queen's passing. Now, others might mock that, others might not understand that because they're still in the energy of blame and judgment. The number of people that are still coming to my channel, it's like, why are you still going on about the Queen? They haven't watched a single one of the videos. They haven't been touched by a single one of the videos. They haven't resonated with a single one of the videos. That's fine. Everybody is where they're meant to be. The work that I'm doing now is for the people that are resonating and are touched by the energy that I've been touched with over the last 10 days. And I said yesterday, I feel as though I've been forever changed. And I truly feel that. I truly feel that. I should have known something was going to happen when that orange ladder, 3 stories high, was placed outside my bedroom window. And it really was like entrance up to the land of giants. But we are the giants. We are the giants. Our souls are I can't speak, gigantic. Okay, and we're the gentle giants, I'm hearing. We're the gentle giants with hearts fully open. So yes, this card is pretty much saying what I've just tried to illustrate here with the rainbow ray. Integrate what you're feeling now. If you're feeling wobbly, if you're feeling a bit like I go so far as to say, and I said this yesterday, I feel forever changed. It feels as though some of the things that were occupying my time, my attention, I'm just not interested in anymore. That's not a judgment. It's where I am and where I feel I am on the ladder. And a lot of it is the energy of this 4D, the 4D energy of blame, of judgment, of he said, she said, he's wrong, she's right, baddie, goodie, don't all of that, the labeling of others, of sheep, all of this type of stuff. It's not that I was really into it before, but it's just like I've removed myself from it. He's saying, we didn't remove you from it. You've removed yourself from it. Well done, is what he's saying. Because that's also to those of you that are resonating with this. Well done. Now, it's also true that even though when you climb a ladder, you, of course, don't live in a bubble. None of us live in a bubble. You're going to be surrounded by people, by friends, by family, by the world that is operating at different frequencies, mixing with people of different frequencies. So we're going to have to ask for guidance on that. Because I know the answer is not to separate yourself off into a little bubble. And as I look at that card, how perfect is that? Bottom of the deck, we've got Metatron. You see, Metatron isn't going anywhere. Just because you climb the ladder and you're talking about unicorns, Metatron's absolutely there with you because he's about the multiverse. He's about wholeness. It says Metatron, wholeness, commune with all life, micro and macrocosm. At the moment, this is like being granted a view and a frequency. And it's like, whoa, this is amazing. But you still got to go back into the world. That's why you have to integrate it. And you have to mix with all different types of people and different frequencies because they're all an expression of us, because we have been that 3D person. We've been that 4D person. We can still be that 3D and 4D person when we're triggered. On a bad day, when you're grumpy, when you haven't had enough sleep, when, you just had the day from hell and then somebody says something and you're right back down to a 3D level. That's completely and utterly possible, okay? Because we have all of the dimensions within us. We are 3D, we are 4D, we are 5D, we are 6D, we are 7D and above. We're all of it. What I'm talking about today is the fact that, put it this way, the rung on the 7th dimensional ladder feels more secure than it ever has been, okay? And it's quite funny because Metatron's showing me now, it's like your name is on it. It's literally like your name is on it. That's really lovely. It's like your name is on the ladder, okay? You've earned your right to be there. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to go back down to other lower dimensional states from time to time. And it doesn't mean also that there's other places much higher. Okay, so yeah, Metatron, wholeness, commune with all life, micro and macrocosm. And this is like the genie in the bottle type energy I'm feeling with this card. It reminds me of a genie in the bottle. But of course, this is the energy of Metatron in this deck. So it's as though we've rubbed the lamp. We've been inquisitive enough to want to discover what is next, what's beyond how I feel at the moment. And we're going to be learning what that is. Rawness, vulnerability is all a stepping stone to the new. Did I say this earlier? If not, I'm going to repeat it anyway because it's really important. I was talking about the need to protect ourselves and boundaries because others will try and knock you off that perch that you're on through misunderstanding. Put it this way, how can you... What am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to express here is it's very, very difficult to, if you haven't experienced something, to know what that is and what that feels like. And so it will be misunderstood and misinterpreted. That, oh, you're just in la la land. You don't want to look at anything. You're this, you're that. We're back to the 3D and 4D, judgment, blame, name calling. But it's about having transcended that. It's about having transcended that. It's being about being able to see it all and transcending it. Seeing it all and transcending it. It's huge. It's huge. Okay, a few more messages for today for the people that are watching. So, 7th dimensional frequencies. Where have we landed? Where have we landed? Where have we landed? It's everything I've been saying. It's actually beyond words. This is beyond words. We've landed in the place where we open our hearts. And it's a very vulnerable place. And it says, right to love and be loved. It's heart healing. I mean, the card says it all. It's also a balancing of the masculine and feminine energies. I said that in one of my videos last week on YouTube about the balancing of the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies. We see that in this card. It's the energy of Namaste. It's I see you. I see you. The divine in me sees the divine in you. That is 7th dimensional frequency. And it's not the divine in me sees the divine in you because I quite like the look of you and you belong to the same political party as me and, you know, you talk the same language as me and, you know, you're a goodie, so I can see the divine in you. The divine in me sees the divine in you, whoever you are, whatever side you're on, because side is an illusion anyway. That's just the duality game playing out. This is true unity consciousness. It's true unity consciousness. And very much like Christ's energy, which embodied that, you will be mocked and ridiculed for it. But you transcend it and you rise above it. I'm very struck by these two cards having the same background, the starry cosmos. It's an understanding that the cosmos is within every person, every moment, every situation. And let me go back to what I said about the Queen's passing being the trigger for this, certainly for me, for my initiation into this 7th dimensional frequency on a much firmer footing. It's because I didn't judge that an awakening moment had to look a particular way, or it had to be a particular person or a particular situation. I didn't judge how it was going to come in. It just came in because I was in that energy of I'm open to wherever this leads. I was honouring how I was feeling day by day. And sure, I was mocked by it, mocked for it, I was judged for it. There were people leaving my channel and probably still are because, you know, you don't know what you're talking about and don't you know this. All of that. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. This is a profound opening of the heart that's come in. It almost doesn't matter how it's come in. The fact is, it's come in. And I'm fully going to embrace it. But it's absolutely opening us up to this multi-dimensional, universal energy. It's just so goddamn beautiful, guys. It's so beautiful. And this thing about not resonating with stuff that I've resonated with before, it includes, and I've said this before, it's not judgment. It's just I'm looking at certain people I've followed in the past and they're still on that old page of us and them and labeling people good and bad. and all of that. And it's a whole other book is what Metatron's saying. It's a whole other book, but everybody is where they're meant to be. And remember, you can't skip the rungs on the ladder. So you actually have to go through that whole experience of blaming and name calling and labeling, and it's all part of the journey. It's all perfect. But ultimately you end up at a much higher vibrational place. And it opens your heart to something beyond which we've known before. There's another card here on the bottom of the pack about integration. I don't know how much further I can go in this video because I feel as though we have to take this step by step, and I do feel this is just about integrating now what we have experienced. Look at this card. Again, the rainbow, the white light, the crystalline energy coming down. The crystalline energy coming down. Get your videos, get your crystals out in this light today if you can. We've also got autumn equinox, of course, this week. We've also got the Libran moon at the end of the week. I don't know if it's a full moon or a new moon. Let me have a look. We've got fall equinox, or autumn equinox as I call it. Sun in Libra on the 22nd of September. So that's important, another 2-day. And then we've got a new moon in Libra. Yeah, that's going to be perfect. So all these days leading up to that new moon, Libra, it's all about trying to find our balance. It's all about trying to integrate this. Work with the energies of the rainbow ray. Also maybe work with, those of you that have got my sprays, the pink lotus heart chakra spray would be very beneficial as well at this time. Let's just see if I can grab that. Yeah. Got a little mini one. I'm being reminded to tell you that the children are going through this as well. The children are going through this. Some of the kids are there way before us. They're actually higher up the ladder anyway. But the kids and the animals, they're all being affected by it. So let's just go into our hearts for a moment. So pink lotus, heart chakra. I'm being given the example of the Queen's bouquet to talk about because again it's to do with what Metatron was saying in one of my last videos about being in the optician's chair and everybody is seeing through a different lens, but it's yet at a 7th dimensional frequency. You're looking through the lens of beauty. So on the Queen's coffin they had this beautiful, I thought it was a beautiful bunch of flowers. It was made up of some very interesting flowers as well. It had myrtle in it, it had heather in it. I looked at it and I thought, my God, that's just such an unusual bunch of flowers. How delicate are they? The flowers were in complete full bloom, almost to the point that they were starting to wilt a little bit. But how perfect for somebody that's died. The rose does wilt. The rose becomes dried petals that get scattered and can then become confetti for another wedding. You know, it's all about the cycle of life. That's what I was seeing by the roses, which were just slightly starting to wilt a bit. And I noticed the heather and I thought, wow, what a beautiful nod to Scotland. And I noticed the myrtle and all of that. And there was also, I don't know if any of you saw it, there was a little spider on the top of the handwritten note of Charles to his mother. And spider is a very, very positive animal totem, which we've talked about many times on this channel. But when I saw the spider, I could see that the way other people would view that through a different lens. Oh my God, the spider's been caught in the web. Oh my God, the flowers are dying. Oh, and people were saying, oh, it's a really horrible bunch of flowers. They were handpicked from her gardens. You know, it was her request that they were handpicked from her garden. It was such a personal touch. The flowers were linked in, I think she had myrtle on her, in her wedding bouquet or something. It was all very, very well thought out. It was very personal. It was stunningly beautiful. And I just saw that. And then I saw the spider and I thought, oh, wow, how amazing is that? And spider's about dream time and, you know, taking us again. Think about the beauty of a spider's web. The beauty of a spider's web, almost like the beautiful glittering lights with the dew, you know, in it. That's how I look at the world. That's how a 7th dimensional frequency looks at the world, rather than, oh God, they're drooping and oh, couldn't they do better than that? I mean, I'm sounding like that because I want to make the point, because I don't want to be in a judgment on that. It's more, Metatron's saying the better word to use is observation. It's like observing different reactions, observing how different people react to the same piece of stimulus shows you very clearly what dimensional frequency you're on. Remember, all dimensional frequencies are needed. You can't go from 3D to 7D. You just can't do it. But that's what I'm being told to say to you. We've also got the tortoise. I like that in this card. The tortoise, one of the slowest creatures, but the tortoise always gets there. The tortoise also carries his home upon his back. It might be, no, it's tortoise, I think there's two of them. We've got doves. Yeah, I brought in the energy today of the Holy Spirit, because this also feels very much linked into the Holy Spirit's energy. Why? I don't know why. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling the energy of the Holy Spirit. I'm feeling the energy of the unicorns. I'm feeling the energy of the seventh dimension. It's very, very beautiful. And the other thing that 7D is very much about is about forgiveness. It's about reunion. It's about remembering that we are all one, reuniting with all parts of ourself. The parts that you judge to be dark, the parts that you judge to be light, the parts that you judge to be good and bad, reuniting with all of it, because we're all one. And forgiveness of self that forgot that very fact. Forgiveness of self that landed on a dualistic planet, went into duality mindset and stayed there. But for some of us, this has been an awakening out of that. As I say, doesn't mean we're going to be perfect, and we're not going to fall short from time to time and go into blame and judgment and all the rest of it. But our name is on that seventh dimensional ladder now. Okay. The door is fully open, fully open. So many beautiful orbs as well in this card. I noticed yesterday. And it's also about bringing the divine into the very everyday. So yesterday, after watching the funeral, I went out to the garden. I was bringing my washing in from the line. And the most perfect angel feather, just sitting there beside my basket. And I took that as a nod. I took that as a nod to the frequencies and the energies that were coming in, that last night I didn't even understand what they were, but I do now. I truly do. And I thank them and I acknowledge them, and I'm going to be integrating them over the next week or so. Well, probably for a lot longer than that, but the portal of this new moon in Libra, an equinox. Some of the crystals that I feel are helpful for us now, an obvious one, rose quartz. Did I say about getting your crystals out in the light at the moment? Just so they can absorb these new frequencies that are there, that have arrived. Rose quartz is an obvious one to help you always go into your heart and stay in your heart. The other one is spirit quartz. Spirit quartz is very good for helping to connect to the realm of the elementals, the fairies, the unicorns. It looks like a magical land, doesn't it? Let me just tune into this crystal. I've had the most ungroovy song in my head for quite a while, actually, about the last month, and I keep playing it over and over, and it's really unhip. It's a really unhip song, but it's a great song. It's a very 7D song. It's Bucks Fizz. Who remembers Bucks Fizz? They were a UK band that entered the Eurovision Song Contest. Have always been sort of dissed for being very naff, but actually there's a song of theirs called The Land of Make Believe. Stars in your eyes, little one, where do you go to dream? To a place we all go, the land of make believe. So a really great song, and it's more the energy of that song. Little one, where do you go? The land of make believe. It's as though the land of make believe has landed. The magic is here. The magic is within us. But we've got to be like the little ones. You know, it's like what Jesus said about being the child. You can't be the grown-up, full of ego and power and the big I am and I know this and you don't. That's not going to get you through that eye of the needle, okay? That's not going to get you into the kingdom of heaven. You've got to become like the little child, the land of make-believe, stars in your eyes. And it's got like a sea shanty type energy to it, that song. La, na, na. Let's do this because I feel like the candles in the wind. It's all very, oh, it's beautiful. The energy is just so beautiful. I don't care who mocks me. I don't care who mocks me, because I know that this is real. And if you're feeling what I'm feeling, it feels pretty dang good, doesn't it? Okay, interesting, we've also got inner child attunement on the bottom of the pack, because this does have something to do with the inner child. You know, it's children that believe in the fairy tale and the magic and the castle on the hill and all that. And then grown-ups are like, don't be so bloody stupid, you know, that doesn't exist. And then it's like, wham, bam, it's like the unicorns are here. And it's like, are you sure it doesn't exist? Because, as I said in my last video, this whole experience has been about you are the queen, you are the king in your own world. Do you believe you deserve to live in the palace? And again, that's going to be judged by some people at a different level. Oh, you know, you shouldn't be wanting to live in a palace. That's not what I'm saying. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the fact that you are a divine being of light. You are a queen. You are a king. The palace is this beautiful world that we live in. The gardens, the seas, the majesty of creation, and how blessed we are to be here for however long we are. Okay, couple of cards. I also actually got this deck, this other deck, Magical Dimensions by Light Star. Let me just feel as if there's a message from this deck, because I think there is as well. Let's just have a look. Because I don't actually have a unicorn deck. And you know, there's part of me that doesn't want a unicorn deck, because I like the fact that the unicorns are within other decks, because that's, to me, how it works. You know, it's like they're already there. They don't need their own separate deck. We don't need to put them in a separate little clique. It's like they're here already. They're with the angels. They're with the galactics. They're with the humans. They're with the other animals. They're just here. Gaian Awakening. This is the card of Ascension. And I'll take that one on the bottom of the deck as well. Very lovely. This is Gaia's Awakening. That's what I've been saying. This has been an awakening moment. We're in an awakening moment. But it doesn't look like the way we thought it was going to look. Well, who cares? Frankly, who cares? Who cares how it came in? It's here. There are many people that won't even watch this video because it's probably got the word queen in it, okay? They weren't ready. They weren't ready for this message. You are. You are. Gaia is ready for you to be ready, okay? So Gaia Awakening, preparing, relocation, ascension, and then we've got exploration, boldness, unknown, limitless. You know, that's quite a nice card to end on before we put up Tesla as the next video after this. I promise I won't delay him anymore. But, you know, he's the master of timing, I think, actually. So probably it's going to land exactly when it's meant to. So, yeah, you know, awakening, we're going into this beautiful portal of exploration, and we're going to see what 7D is going to bring us. And what it's going to bring us is what is unknown and what is limitless, that you are limitless, that there are parts of yourself that are unknown, that you don't even know are there, these chambers in your heart, the frequencies that you can reach in this lifetime. Okay, but it's much easier when you let the naysayers go. Okay, you put your boundaries up. The people that are going to, as I say, they're just not on the same page. They're on the page that they're meant to be on then, though, okay? We're all exactly where we're meant to be. Let's end with the earth spray to ground all of these beautiful frequencies. Namaste. Namaste, my friends. It's just beyond words. It's beyond words. It's beyond what we've known. Much love. Take care. See you soon. Tesla next. Bye-bye. Bye.